Do you have any idea how many men have wanted me? There has never been a single man that I have wanted that I have not gotten because men, they are cheap.
It almost seems like Mia is actually sort of conflating like the male relationship versus the female relationship because she's like, oh, well, I can do what a man can do basically. But there's no real value in that, I guess, because basically she's increasing the value of this cheap, easy man by having sex with them.
You can't really say like, oh, because he's easy to have sex with, therefore he's cheap. Like I said, it's not easy for him to get that. He's able to get that to a high quantity, then clearly that would make him valuable. But on the opposite side with women, if they're just giving away sex, then it's like that's not necessarily the same. Like you can't say value that the same way as it would be in a guy. What's poppin', everybody?
Welcome back to the Cole Podcast.
I'm Zoe.
And I'm Steve.
All right, we're going to talk about whether or not, in the perception of the world, are men cheap and basically worthless?
Yeah, like are men easy to get? Are they hard to find or what? Let's react to this video.
We too easy.
Let's react to this video where we have someone actually explaining what she thinks about men and whether or not they're easy and cheap.
Yep.
Men are the easiest thing in the entire world. If you are wondering how you and another woman got the same man, it is because men are the easiest thing in the entire world. I have never wanted a man and not gotten him. Do you have any idea how many men have wanted me and not gotten me? There has never been a single man that I have wanted that I have not gotten because men, cheap and easy. And are
now, I feel like I saw her somewhere.
Yeah, she's a popular figure in pop culture,
familiar.
in the pop culture world.
Oh, is she now? Okay, yeah. I think I don't know what it was. It's just she looks very familiar to me.
Yeah. But yeah, she's got some good opinions. She's no, actually, no, she doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give her this. I think in this specific context, I don't think she's wrong. I mean, I don't think any guy out here is really competing to be extremely exclusive or trying to most guys really aren't really that hard to get.
Yeah, it depends on the guy, I guess, but generally guys are they're seeking the woman, not the other way around. So if they actually get the woman, then it's like they win. Yeah. So when she says I've never wanted a man and I haven't gotten them, it's like, yeah, well, obviously.
Yeah. I feel like generally most attractive women have that exact same experience.
Especially if you're
most
attractive.
guys want
Absolutely.
to have sex with women. They're not going to a lot of men, most men, I would argue, aren't really going to regulate themselves to trying to be extremely exclusive, especially when the offer's on the table up front by a very attractive woman.
Yeah. And it's funny because actually, I do recognize this person. Her name's Mia Khalifa.
That's who it is. Okay, I get it. I remember.
Yeah, she's a former porn star, and she's actually been divorced 3 times.
Really?
Yeah. So I guess it goes to show that she's actually able to secure a man for sex and basic interactions or whatever.
Yeah,
but when it comes to keeping them around, it's well, are they? If she's going with cheap and easy men, which aren't all men, then she's gonna end up getting the short end of the stick at the end of the day when they decide that, well, I'm gonna go be cheap and easy with somebody else.
Yeah, and I think I think part of her problem is that I think she's quantifying the value that men and women bring to a relationship, where it's she's trying to make it the same, where I think it's a little bit different, which probably could explain why she can't keep a man or can't seem to keep a man because she's basically she's quantifying the man's value as being cheap as basically his him giving up sex, or basically having sex, the same way a woman would quantify it. So she's women are way more exclusive when it comes to having sex, but men, they're not. Any woman can just have sex with any man at any time because men don't do that, which makes them cheap. But I think what she doesn't seem to understand is that there's a difference in which how men and women's value is quantified. I feel like a woman has to be more exclusive because, a lot of her value comes from her sexual access. That's how she can kind of leverage that to get what she wants in relationships with men is, the man's trying to compete for that sexual access. But I think men, it would be more so on a relationship aspect. Can a woman procure a man who's willing to basically provision and protect and, give her a monogamous relationship?
It almost seems like Mia is actually sort of conflating, like, yeah, like kind of like you said, the male relationship versus the female relationship with cheap in value. Because she's like, oh, well, I can do what a man can do, basically. Like, you know, I can get a man and have sex with them easily, but there's no real value in that, I guess, because there's basically she's increasing the value of this cheap, easy man by having sex with them. Yeah. But they're not increasing her value by having sex with her. The only way her value would go up is if those people decided to stay with her and valued her otherwise.
I would say, like I said, I think it's because of the roles that men and women have in relationships. I think that is that's gonna define like what our actual value is, because you know, any attractive woman, I would argue, could like have sex fairly easily. So therefore, you know, because it's very easy for a woman to have sex, that would, you know, in turn make it pretty hard for men to have sex, because women they kind of control that barrier, because they're the ones that are desired. So it's like if a man, I guess, gets a lot of sex or is able to get a lot of sex, that would be kind of like the key of whether this guy has like some type of value to women, because a lot of women are willing to submit that to them.
Right.
Whereas like on the man's end, you know, a guy that's like, you can't really say like, oh, because he's easy to have sex with, you know, therefore he's cheap, because because pretty much it's like I said, it's not easy for him to get that. He's able to get that to a high quantity, then clearly that would make him valuable. But on the opposite side with women, you know, if they're just giving away sex, then it's like that's not necessarily the same. Like you can't say value that the same way as it would be in a guy.
Yeah, I think like women, because they have that ability and that power to easily get men, if they use that power well and responsibly, they can easily get a lot of good men, good quality men that they want. So that's why I think the woman's choice really, really matters.
I agree.
Would you say that a man that, so like say you have two different men, right? One man, he's like a playboy. He manages to sleep with a bunch of different women. And he never commits really. He may have flings, relationships, versus another man who, for example, is, he marries the first girl he sleeps with. Who would be cheap and easy in that comparison? Which one of them is cheap and easy?
Which one of the men is cheap and easy?
Yeah.
If he marries the first girl.
Marrying the first girl versus having sex with a lot of girls and not settling down.
I would say probably the guy that just like married the first girl. And the reason I would probably say that is because I think I'm not saying this is always the case, because like you can always luck up and just like get with the first, like meet a girl that's like really meets all your standards and like, you know, shack up with them. I don't think there's anything wrong with your personal choice in that regard. But I think you'd have to assess like a couple factors to determine whether or not like, you know, did this guy do that because they found the right woman, or did that kind of relate to maybe having a scarcity mindset to where he's like, this might be the best I can do, I better lock this down and get out the game? Because I think there's a lot of people that end up doing that, you know, where it's like, you know, maybe you didn't find like the person they wanted to actually like be in a long-term relationship with, but they kind of just like, you know, looked at their chips on the table and said, you know what, I'm ready to cash out. Like, this is good enough. You know,
got to settle one day.
Yeah, I think value in a sense could be defined by like, you know, and it may sound kind of like a playboy mentality, but I think it, you know, there's some truth to it, because like not everyone can be a playboy. So, you know, if you're out there and, you know, you're able to play the field for a long time and keep kind of getting like what you want out of it, to some extent, you have a value that the people that you're trying to basically extract, that you're trying to get what you want out of, like see in you, to like constantly give that to you. So from a moral standpoint, you can argue whether that makes you a valuable person, but to some level, you bring value to that community, like to the women, because they want to consistently give you the thing you're seeking.
But I wonder, like, in my opinion, I actually believe I believe the opposite. So I would say like the guy that gives all of his value to the one woman, she gets more value out of it because he hasn't been spent, basically. Yeah. But the guy that's out having sex with a bunch of different women, it's sort of like will eventually like whittle away at what value he has, and then he's cheap and easy. Like if any woman approaches him and he'll have sex with them, then what value is he really offering, I guess?
Well, here's the thing, because I think the way you said it, with the first guy, it's like the woman definitely is going to get more value out of it, but I think that's because it's how you like, I guess, define like, is he valuable, or does the man basically bring a level of value that women can extract? Because I don't know if the woman who's basically got the relationship is a lot more value or is able to get a lot more value than the women who are just sleeping with the guy. I think that's 100% true. But I think the value of the guy is going to depend on pretty much because pretty much it's hard to, I guess, define whether or not like how you're going to use value or like the term value in this sense. Because, you know,
I mean, value is more than being just a dick and balls.
No, I know that. I'm saying in terms of like value, it's because more women want to be with one guy than the other one. I think that's what makes it more valuable.
But more women may want to be
Inherent
with the guy. I mean, I guess it's all hypothetical at this point. But more women, the guy that married the first girl, there may be other women who wanted to be with him or who would want to be with him in the future, but he's already settled down.
Yeah,
so they don't have the option to like realize that value.
No, I agree, and that's why I had said like you have to quantify other factors to kind of determine like whether that's a bad thing. I'm saying like if the guy got in that relationship because he felt like he couldn't do better or that he didn't want to stay in the dating game, that could be an indicator of like, okay, he probably didn't have that many options, so he settled on the most feasible resource. Which is why I would say like if that's the case, he would be like probably less valuable in the realm of dating than the guy who more women are vying to date. But in terms of just like a moral thing, if he's just like, oh, I think I found the right girl for me, I'm not looking to be in a non-monogamous relationship, then that's perfectly fine, and then he can like settle his value on one girl. So that's why I'm like, it's hard to decide just based off that. I think it comes from how the mentality of both men is going to define like how valuable they really are.
Okay, just for fun. So who has more value, the woman that plays around and sleeps with a bunch of guys, or the woman that settles with the first guy that she gets with?
Probably the woman that settles with. I would honestly say the woman that settles down with the first guy, and I got a reason for that, but I know exactly what I know why you asked that. So go ahead and say what you want to say.
No, I want to hear your
Like a
reasoning.
long-term relationship.
Yeah.
Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, they get married. She marries the first person.
All right. Well,
who's got more value?
Okay. I mean,
Which
like I
one's
said,
cheap and easy.
Well, here's the one. The one I'd say the woman that is able to get the man. And here's why. Because the woman that is able to get the man is like this is a two-pronged thing, but the woman that's able to basically get the man to commit to her fully and not just be basically one notch on another guy's belt, I think she is more valuable because she basically utilized her natural femininity to basically get a man to commit 100% of his value in her. And therefore, if a man's willing to do that, then obviously he probably sees that woman as being of some type of value. Therefore, that's why he's willing to do that. I think a woman who's basically, being slept around with and not really committed to probably doesn't have the same level of value as the girl that's able to get commitment, because there's not a man that seemed to be willing to see her as something more than just sex, as like someone that he can like commit 100% of his value into. So that's why in that case, I would say that woman has more value.
That makes sense.
Yeah. The reason I say it wouldn't work the same way for a guy is because, well, do you believe that men and women have roles in relationships, Steve?
I think they have some roles, yeah.
What kind of roles do you think a man and women have to each other?
A man has protector, provider,
priest,
and a woman has
priest.
What do women have?
Yeah, what's a woman's value, Steve? Yeah, go on, take your time.
So women provide care, nurturing, and like maintenance, like like they like maintain the value. I mean, not the value, the integrity of the kids, raising kids.
Okay, so they're good for kids. All right.
Yeah, caretaking.
Okay, good. They're nurturers. I got you.
Yeah.
Very non-tangible things. I got you.
Yeah. Well, it's tangible.
No, I'm joking. Yeah, no. Kids are important. Yeah, kids, nurturing, love. Everyone wants that in a relationship. Absolutely. But the reason I said that was because, when it comes to because men and women have different roles, wouldn't you agree that the value that men and women bring would differ from the genders, which means that what the value that what a man can do for a woman is going to be a different type of value than what a man could do for, or what a woman could do for a man.
I'd say it would differ, but it wouldn't be like a 50-50 coin flip.
It wouldn't be like
a complete inverse. Yeah.
Okay.
Wouldn't be an exact inverted type difference, I guess, is kind of how it, but I mean, that's just generally my opinion.
Okay.
I just think that, personally, I say that the guy that, settles down with the first girl he's with, if he actually cares about her, loves her, if he's not just settling, then he's got more value because he took himself off the market by choice, rather than being played by the market repeatedly. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of like a hard topic for me. But actually, I had brought up the inverse of it, not because of what you probably thought I brought it up but because of the comments. Lisa, can you go to some of those comments on the Twitter post?
Okay.
So a lot of the comments were saying like,
let's take a look here. What we got?
Lisa, can you read like some funny ones if you see them?
Can zoom in for you, big dog.
That guy just fly.
You know, the funniest
Maybe.
about her post is she didn't get those men. They got her, and she doesn't even realize it. Like that's basically what I'm saying.
That's true.
Yeah.
They got her. They won.
Yeah. That, I would agree. That's far more accurate than what I think she thinks is going on.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know, to kind of build off, I guess, what you were starting to say, and like I said, this is probably the most sexist thing I'm probably going to say in the episode. But like the reason I have those delineations is because I think a man's value can be best optimized in a relationship, because that means if a woman can lock a man down, then she's going to get the most she can get out of a man. That's going to directly benefit her in every aspect. She's going to get the protection, the provisioning, and pretty much all those things. The only thing she would get outside of a relationship would necessarily be, basically sex from a man, which I don't think, it's going to be necessarily that valuable to a woman, especially in the reverse. Like, I think men view sex from women as way more valuable than a woman sees sex from men. I think one of the main factors women like men is because of the things they can do, the auxiliary things they can do outside of just sex. Now, for men, on the other hand, men know that if they're in a relationship with a woman, they're going to get value from a relationship too. I'm not saying it's like a complete zero end game. I think men are going to be able to get a partner, a companion, someone they could talk to, love, all those things. They're going to get the ability to have like a committed family. I think that's good. But the difference is that I feel like when a man gets in a relationship, he's got to give a lot more tangible, arguably more valuable resources to like maintain the stability of a relationship than a woman necessarily is expected to give. So it's like he's going to be the one that's probably going to have to front most of the like responsibility for the like the maintenance, so the protection, the provisioning,
the money, and
he's going to take on a lot more of the like hands-on roles in it. Maybe he's going to be putting together all the furniture. So I think because he has to do that in a relationship, it's more valuable for a woman to basically get a relationship from a man, because she's going to get all that without having to lose a bunch more in return. Whereas a man, if he's in a non-committed relationship with a woman, he gets the value of sex from a woman, which is going to be perceived as pretty valuable to most men, without having to give all those auxiliary things to maintain it. He won't have to protect her. He won't have to call her all the time. He won't have to like probably, show up to her house and meet her parents and, fix things when they break. So I think that's why it's like if a man can play the field and get a bunch of, basically can, get a bunch of sex from women without having to commit any of those values to them, he's probably winning a lot more than a woman who's just giving up the box. So that's kind of why I see it that way.
That's a fair enough point, man. That just hinges on the idea that you don't devalue yourself by having a lot of sex as a man, which I'm sure you believe. But
I mean, like,
I don't believe that.
Oh, so. Well, like we could differ on that one. Like I said, I think it's a mentality plays a part. I don't see it as a wrong thing if a guy wants to be in a monogamous relationship. He doesn't have any interest in playing the field. I'm just speaking from a general standpoint. If you're a guy playing the field, you have a lot less to lose than a woman playing the field. I wouldn't even say you have necessarily to win, but like you're not really losing as much, I think, as a woman who can't seem to maintain a relationship with one guy. Because especially then she's just giving all of that away with nothing in return, whereas a man is basically, he's giving something away, but he's also saving a lot in return too, because the alternative is him giving a lot away anyway.
Yeah, and age plays a very big part in that, because as a woman gets older and she loses that ability to have a child, she loses a lot of market value.
So talking about them eggs just drying up.
Eggs they getting dry.
It's drying up,
scrambled.
You're on a ticking time clock. And when they get desperate, they get desperate.
I agree.
For a relationship.
Hey, man, it's tough out there, hit that wall.
All right, guys, let's close this one out, man.
Yeah, but I guess to finish, do you think a man is worthless and cheap?
I think men are highly valuable, but I do think that they can easily be persuaded to have sex with a woman or a man, really. Like, I feel like...
Yeah, I think there's a case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, man. Thanks for watching, everybody. This has been the Cold Popcast. You can find us on all social media platforms at The Cold Popcast. We're also available on YouTube and currently Rumble and all audio and video platforms. Thanks for popping in. We got to pop out of here.
All right. Peace.